Hey there, YouTube type clarinet playing people. Time for another video from Ridenour Clarinet Products. This one I call Getting Out the Grunts. Now, for those of you who've been looking forward to more mouthpiece videos and more dumb ideas for the clarinet and so on, we're going to have more of those, but I need to get time to actually prepare those final parts, especially on the mouthpiece video. So don't despair, they're coming up. But this particular video is something I think is going to be helpful to a lot of you, because almost everyone that plays the clarinet has experienced this particular problem at one time or another, to one degree or another. The grunts. Well, what are the grunts exactly? The grunts are not, say, Disney's latest video creation or something you see on Cartoon Network to compete with the old Flintstones. The grunts are problems that we have in playing the upper clarion register of the clarinet with delicacy and refinement and security, especially at the softer dynamics. Now, by upper clarion, I mean the G, A, B, and C, and notes covering that range in the clarion register. We've all experienced what we call grunting or shadow toning when we try to play one of those notes softly, or if we try to make a wide leap from, say, the low register up to one of those notes, or from a long pipe clarion note like a C or a B or a D up to a high B or a high A above the staff. We find that we get that little shadow toning, little grunting. Or if we try to make a really soft attack and bring the note in very delicately, we find that the note will shadow tone, or we'll get that subtone grunt before the note actually sounds. Now, there are a few things that you can do as a player to make sure that you're giving those notes the very best chance to start off correctly. But besides, the problem is not just you. The problem, especially in certain clarinet designs, is defective acoustics. By defective acoustics, I mean an imbalance in resistance in the clarinet. Too little or too much resistance in one area or the other, so that when you switch from notes in that area to notes in the other area, you don't have time to make the adjustment in embouchure and air pressure to properly support, say, the second note. The second note will grunt or undertone, especially if you're going from long pipe to short pipe, or the second note will not respond if you're going from short pipe to long pipe. You hit low resistance, high resistance, or high resistance, low resistance, and these cause you to have to make adjustments that you shouldn't have to make if you had a clarinet that was properly acoustically designed. Unfortunately, the most popular clarinets have this defective design characteristic, and clarinet players suffer with it, and they think, gee, that's just what you've got to do. Not so. If the clarinet's designed properly, these undertoning problems are minimized, along with stability problems in the high dynamic levels. But that's perhaps another video. So anyway, besides defective acoustical design, which there's not much we can do about except switch clarinets, what can we do to eliminate or mitigate this with the clarinet that we have that maybe shadow tones quite a bit? The solution is up here in this little guy called the register tube. And now a word from our sponsor for this episode. Sure, many of you wonder in these uncertain times exactly how you're going to defend and take care of your family and make sure that you have what you need no matter how difficult things can get. Well, we have the answer. It's guns and gold. That's right, guns and gold. That's the way you're going to do it. So drop by the website of gunsandgold.inthefed.org.com.biz and invest today to protect you and your family. Gold. It's not just for pirates anymore. Arr! The register tube is what we call a double function tone hole. By double function, we mean that it does two things instead of one. Now, first, it plays the throat B flat, but it also gives you that break so that you can get up to the next series of overtones on the clarinet and play the clarion register. Well, on the bass clarinet we have a double function register key, and some clarinets have been designed with double functions in the past, but for some reason or other they've never really caught on, and clarinet players continue to prefer on the B flat a single function register register key? Well, for the throat B flat, we would want this particular tone hole to blow very freely and have a nice, clear, centered sound. But as a register key or a register tube, we would want it to have adequate resistance to give the upper clarion notes, especially the upper clarion notes, adequate support so that when you play softly, the notes don't undertone, and when you play with a full dynamic sound, like up into the upper forte range, that the notes don't become unstable in pitch, color, and shape, begin to shatter and get thin and very bright, and so on and so forth. So you're splitting the difference here in this register key, and it really is quite a problem. Well, it's especially a problem if the lack of resistance is severe in the left hand of the clarinet. And as I said, because of manufacturing inconsistencies, there are clarinets that are better and clarinets that are worse in this regard. But whether it's severe or not severe in the acoustical design, what can you do to help eliminate or at least mitigate the problem with the mechanics of the clarinet? And one of the things that you can do is something most people don't notice, and that is adjust the opening of the register pad itself. Now, if the closer the register pad gets to the tone hole, the more support, the more resistance that it supplies in the tube, which is very critical and very important for the upper clarion notes. And just bringing that register tube in close is going to help eliminate some of the undertoning at the softer dynamic level. Unfortunately, it's going to also create some buzzing and hissing when you play throat B flat or bell B, and we'll talk about how to work our way around that. But the first question is exactly how do we approach closing this register key down so that we have only a small opening instead of the very large opening that you find on the huge percentage of clarinets. And here's how to do that.